Our last speaker for the day is CCG Arquitectos from Lisboa. CCG Arquitectos is a Portuguese company founded in 1993 by Candido Shoa Gomes. They provide services in the area of architectural design, studies, and projects. We also have Miguel Shoa Gomes with us here. Candido completed his degree in architecture from the School of Fine Arts of Lisboa and master's degree in rehabilitation of the architectural heritage and landscape, University of Evora. Gomes has been teaching at Portuguese Design Center and University of Barcelona and the Catholic University Architecture at VCO. The firm primarily practices projects in urban planning, rehabilitation projects in the city of Lisboa, as also residential and public buildings. Projects are in Portugal, Cape Verde, and Algeria, spread over programs in urban plans, individual and multi-family housing, education and sport facilities, museums, tourism and recreation, culture, services, and rehabilitation. A considerable time at the studio is also dedicated to competing in public, limited, and invited competitions for projects, both national and international. In institutional architecture, the firm is known for its projects such as the Villa Viçosa School and Vicente High School in Lisboa. Known projects by CCG are religious architecture in terms of the São Francisco Convent Church and, interestingly, a museum complex through the rehabilitation of former industries, as in the project Cultural da Levada da Tomar. That said, we'll leave it to the team CCG to give you an insight into their works.
Hi, everyone. Thank you. I know you are all tired. I will try to be the most concise as possible. I hope you enjoy it. First of all, I would like to thank MASA for the organization of this amazing event and for inviting us and having us brought from Portugal to here. The second, I would like to send my respects for all the speakers because they have amazing projects and amazing works. And the third, I would like to give a huge thank you also to my partner and father for entrusting me with the presentation of our work. Like it was presented, we are an architectural office from Lisbon. It was founded in 1993, but it has more than 40 years of experience because it was founded by the experience of my dad since he has left the architectural college. Even when he was in the college, he started working with some of his teachers, so he started developing his own language and his own architectural methods since there until 2024. Obviously, it's not limited to that because since we came from Portugal, Europe, we have also millenniums of history and cultural heritage that came through us, also especially marked by the Romans and the Greeks that came and occupied, but also through the Arabic occupation that we have. So we have a lot of architectural and historical heritage in our country, obviously developed in a lot of areas, not only in architecture. But it has been a lot of marks. Also in the 15th century, when Portugal expanded its ways, even till India with Goa and other places that established them, we gathered some new experiences and imported that from our main country. This is what I want you to remember. This is our vision of architecture. This is a vision of a company Lisbon-based in Europe that has some difficulties and some heritage in our territory, and that is why what we are trying to resolve in our project. So we found our basis of projects in basically two major pillars. The first one is the functional aspects of the project. So the first thing that we do is we try to understand exactly what our client needs and how can it be and turn out to be something functional. So it has to respect some function, it has to respect some need for our client. The second one is the constructive and material aspect. So it's very important to understand how we are going to build it, what type of materials we are going to use it, because everything that gathers costs in the construction and will gather costs on the maintenance of the project. Then we have two other aspects, the lightning concepts and the artists, because we think that architecture obviously is going to transform and create spaces for new functions and new people to inhabit them. But we have to gather other artists and other areas of expertise into our practice in order for enhance and potential our projects. In this specific work that we developed the last 40 years, we have we have a team of lighting designers that work with us, and we have a lot of visual artists from sculptors to painters that also work with us. Basically, when we have a project, since the beginning, we also try to find and to understand how can we use these persons to come with us and to explore the projects with us. So I will now pass to show you some projects. Basically, I will divide this presentation in 4 sections. Each section I will give basically two types of projects I will show you. I will try to be brief on the explanations, but it's important that we try to divide in these 4 sectors, because they remain as basically the 4 major important issues that we have in our practice. The first sector that I have is single housing. This is one of the photographs of one of the projects, and basically I'm going to present two complete distinct approaches that we had. When we are presented with this type of projects that we have to experience, we came across with a number of difficulties. So for us to be more certain in how to approach, we have a method of 2 points. First one is the organization of the home. For us, a home has to potentialize the gathering of the people. So we have to create spaces in order for the family or friends to get together. So you need to have some spaces in the house that are private, your bedrooms, your toilets, and so on. But you also need to have some public spaces to promote this gathering throughout the family. And the second point is the structure of the house. Why? Because we think that the house does not need to be very monotonous. So we tend to create and to apply a certain method like a labyrinth, because we want to create multiple paths. So each person can identify which is the most appropriate way to explore the house and to develop their own way inside of that house. This project was near Lisbon, the capital of Portugal. This is a huge plot that was privatized and is a complete forest. It's a pine forest, and inside of that they make a huge allotment, and this is one of the plots that remain there. It has a little bit of a strange shape, but the first thing that we do is to search the concept of a clearing inside of that pine forest. And then we try to identify what were the most exposed parts of the plot, because in Portugal the northern side, it's the worst side, because you have cold come from there, you have wind come from there, and you don't have any kind of sun, because the sun goes from the east to the west and pass through south. So in that way we just create two walls to protect the house from those worst places and turn the house to the other side. Here basically we have the main entrance over there, and then this is the ground floor, where we have so, like a living room, a dining room, a kitchen, obviously the vertical access. You have the pool, which is correlated with an outdoor space, and you have some type of suite, because it would be like a guest room for anyone who was invited. On the lower level, we have the parking spots. We have a huge wine cellar, and we also have the master bedroom. This is one of the requests of our client. He wanted the master bedroom on the ground floor, and then we created that circular hole that was represented on the photograph I previously shown. That was like a private patio for him. On the upper floor, we have the other three rooms. This is just to show you the different levels that we have, and on this one, the patio, the private patio for the master bedroom, that is totally open. Here, we are going to introduce a new theme that is going to be the materials. So we have the main entrance over there, and we try to use it, a huge wood door that was obviously painted in white to be corresponded with all the wall. And we use one of the main elements that we utilize in our architecture, that is brick. This brick, like other speakers have said today, this one is terracotta, which is a handmade brick, filled brick. And the idea beside this utilization, that it's a little bit common in all of our projects, is because it creates a sense of timeless perspective, because the material doesn't need any maintenance, basically, and it evolves with time. So when it gets old, it changes a little bit the color, it gets more or less affected, but during a lot of period of time. So the lifespan of this material is very large, is very big, and it requires no maintenance. And the fact that it almost changes itself, it blends, it gets blended with the nature. So that was one of our main goals. When you enter the house, we have created an outdoor space that's like an antechamber for entering the house. This antechamber is to create, not only to bring light to the hallway, that could be a little bit dark, but also to create an extra protection, because that massive wall we had on the outside would not be sufficient to promote the security needed. This is images of the inside. It was all very basic in terms of materials. We have painted everything white. We have put some hardwood floor, and we have ceramic on basically the humid zones in the kitchen and the bathrooms. This is one of the outdoor spaces. Here we have a second entry that is like a backdoor entries for the plot near the parking spot, where you descend for the ground level, and then you can see all the pine forest that is involving the house, and obviously the ones that are grown, it's the ones that we kept intact from our project. We didn't touch in any of the trees that were there. We tried to adapt our house to the nature that was already on the plot. That's the main patio for the master bedroom, and obviously the pool with the terrace. The second house that I have to show you, it's a house that we did near Lisbon also, but on this particular side is not enclosed with the nature, but it's near the beach. So it's on a hill, and you have a complete view over the bayline and basically the ocean. What we did here is we had a very small plot. So if we try to extend our house, there will be no exterior areas. So we have to adapt a little bit in order for them to have some possible exterior experience on their plot, even if it is very small. So we came up with the first idea, the first concept, that was the labyrinth, like I was told you. And this labyrinth, what the idea was, if we created like a different kind of paths throughout the house, inside and outside, we can create a multiple levels of balconies, of outdoor spaces, of pool, of gardens, and even create a massive house on the inside. In this particular in this particular plot, we have tried also to, once there was no nature in there, because this was an urban plot, we tried to incorporate at least those three trees, because those would some sort of organize our project and organize our house. In terms of structure, the first one that is in front of the building would be complement the facade, the principal facade, and it will allow us to create like the house around of that tree. The other one that is over there and this one over there, they have different purposes. So we have basically two ways we can go all around the house. So we created this ring, but obviously with some obstacles on the way that need to be surpassed in order to have different points of view, not only on the house, but create also intimacy for the interior spaces of the house that can utilize that outdoor space. So that one is to create an end for these basically main axes that we have here, and create some sort of naturalization of that balcony that we will have over the bay and the ocean. The other one on this side, this is a more private sector, and that trees to complement and create some kind of correspondence throughout the two stores of the house. Explaining a little bit of the project. So we, in this case, we inverted a little bit the usual type of functions that we have. So we have put the pool on the rooftop. Nowadays it's a little bit more common, but when we conceived this project, it was not that common. So we have these outdoor stairs near the entrance of the house, where you can get to the rooftop and you have the pool. The only way to put a pool in this plot was literally this one, because we didn't have space to put in anywhere else. On the ground level that you enter through here, you have a parking spot over there, and then when you enter the house through here, you have this whole living room, you have this dining room and the kitchen with obviously a social bathroom. You have also a balcony that is directly connected with those social spaces, and on the ground level we have all the private sector. So we have a common living room that could be possibly for the kids, and then we have two rooms, one for each kid, a closet, and then the huge master bedroom. Here we can understand, because the plot was on a very high steep hill, so we have to overcome also that difficult topography on that same plot. So we have to manage those types of different situations. This is the main facade where we entered the plot. Even here we have different altitudes, because we have one in here to enter the car that is on the same level as the street, but the main pedestrian entry is on the right side of the plot. This is the entry of the home, the hallway. This is the living room. On the living room, we also try to pass that idea of the labyrinth into the inside. So we created these diversions in order to not expose excessively the house to the south and to the sun, but in order to create some little outdoor spaces that could help to divide the living room into different kind of organizations. This is the balcony where we can see all of the bay and the river and the ocean. This is the kitchen to connect with the dining room, and this is the balcony. This is an image of the ground level, the part where you have the closet and the kids' room on the upper side of the plot, and this is exemplifies the concept of the labyrinth that I was talking about. You have to move for the right, you have to move for the left, but you have to be on constant move, and this helps you to create different spaces and to create a different type of blocks in every single space. Here I would like to introduce our third tree. It's obviously a stone tree. This is one of the examples that we have where we try to incorporate the artist, in this case the sculptor. We gave him the specifics that we want him to do, and he done exactly according to what we want. Then the idea was to create like some sort of landmark spot in this particular space, and you have different kind of points along the sculpture that allow you to have different points of view from every single angle of the house. So when you are that little window over there, it's a window on a night shelf near the bed on the master bedroom. So when you are over there and you have that little room, you can only see these little details of the sculpture. But when you are on that balcony, that is a balcony on the kitchen, you have a landmark that is that little detail. So the idea is when you are on top, down low, or when you are on the balcony, up front, or when you are on the garden on the outside, you can always see the sculpture, and you can see almost single details of the sculpture can be seen, but from different spaces, and that creates like some sort of landmark and unifies all the spaces around this point. This is up front. This is a kind of old photography because it was almost when the construction was ending. You cannot see the tree in here, but it was planted like maybe 1 meter on the right, and that was the tree that nowadays it's very big, and it tried to create this huge patio where you park the car under the tree. Okay, so the second section that I have to present you, it's schools. Basically, our work, we have done a lot of different type of projects, like it was presented, but we kind of centered in the public commissions and the public competitions. So we had a lot of schools that were promoted and projected, and I brought two that are, although they are schools, they are two complete different typologies. One of them is a more classical traditional building that is this one that I'm going to present, and it has an appreciation for architecture, and it was developed in two different wings. And it kind of marks a specific era on the time. The second one that I will present was developed in a pavilion model. So you have individual buildings that had different kind of approaches for the educational system, and it was also a landmark of a specific time, because when on a certain point of our history, we had to democratize the access of education, and then we need to increase exponentially the type of offer that we have on colleges and on schools and everything. So we didn't have the budget to construct them, so we had to go to the simple and more cheaper methods. That was the pavilion type of kind. There were three pillars that were imposed to us on these rehabilitations. That it was to include new libraries, laboratory sections, and new sports sections. So we must, we had to join them. So this was the previous state before our project. You can see here that is divided on one wing on the left side and one wing on the right. This one was the place where they did sports like athleticism and gymnastics. Then 40 years later, they built this pavilion in order to complement with some football, handball, basketball, and other kind of pavilion sports. But it was lacking a kind of unity in all of the project, especially on the ground level, because you had the old building down and you had the new sports pavilion, and you didn't have the connection. You have to go outside in order to get to that place. This is our project. So our project tried to maintain what was there, tried to identify the specific areas and what was good to preserve and what wasn't good to preserve. We had to excavate and to allocate on the ground levels the laboratories on one side and on the other. All of the school classrooms are located over here, and with a new expansion. This is a connection that we have made to the new pavilion, that we have left all the structure intact, but we have changed some of the finishes and some of the outdoor lining of the building. This one also changed its function. This is the new corridor that we have made, and this allowed all of the students to go, even if when it rains or it's cold, to go beneath the previous building and to access the sports pavilion, where we also have created some new locker rooms, some new and some new areas for them to hang out. This was the old entry, which has a bit of a curiosity, because in that time, the schools in Portugal were divided by girls and boys, so you don't mix them up. And one wing was for the girls and another wing was for the boys. These main entries, no one utilized it, because the girls enter from the outside and the boys enter from the other side. This one only was used by the teachers, and the teachers most of the time didn't use it also. So what we are trying to do is, since nowadays the schools are mixed up, we try to change this huge patio in order to create a new zone for the students and a new zone for them to hang out and to enter in a more dignified way in their school. This is the antique lobby that was very closed and very dark. We opened up not only through the elimination of some materials that were on the walls and painted it white, but also with the opening of some new windows that open up the library. So in Portugal, the library is kind of a marking spot because all of the students gather around on the library and they study together, they read books together, they utilize it a lot. Even during classrooms, they go there to watch movies and to watch some lectures. And the library that was previously there, it was very closed. So we opened up, and so when the students can enter the building, they always get to see the library. And when you are on the library, they get to see who's coming, who's not coming, and opened up a little more view. This is an image of the corridors. We also renovated them, but without changing too much. We have just incorporated new furniture, new cabinets to put the old furniture, and we have also added some acoustic panels because the noise was unbearable for all the students. This was the antique students' room. Our approach here was to also create those acoustic panels on the top, and then create these glass doors where you can push the light in. Those the exterior spaces that we created are divided into the ones that are on the ground level and the ones that are on the underground level. These ones are the patios that were or the courtyards that were created next to the laboratories systems. This photograph is during construction. One year later, it was already filled with new greens and new flowers. And here I would like to introduce our second approach with a plastic artist, with a visual artist. So in this particular case, we had the old building, the old facade that were there, and we had this huge forest that was on the other side of the road, outside of the school, and we wanted kind to bring the nature into our plot. So what we were trying to do is to make a glass cover wall, in order for in every point of this exterior part, it would reflect the forest and would bring the forest in. Then we call one of the most conceptual artists in Portugal that we knew, and he came along, and we asked him if he could do this. There is a screen printed glass panels. So he came up with the design. We obviously gave him like some sort of notion and kind of concept of what we want. That was to some sort of make an artist approach of the forest, and he printed it in every single panel that we have to cover the wall, and that creates not only the reflection on the glass, but also the simulation that when you are inside of the building and you look outside, you have some sort of trees that goes along with the glass. This is the new corridor that we done because the previously to access the sports pavilion. This is during the construction, and the antique pavilion where they practiced the athleticism was literally within these three walls. So it was very small, and we demolished the slab. We created a ground space, and then we create a tunnel that will allow the kids to access the space. When the building ended, we created an expansion on this glass metal structure. This is the new pavilion with the old structure, but with the new facade and the new corridors and the new entry that we've made. This one is the old pavilion where you have all the structures in metal, and we keep intact that structure because it was good. There's no need to spend money. What we have done in here was to create corridors on all four sides, and we create these glass opaque panels that allow a diffuse light to come in and to bring more light to the users. In this project, we also worked with lighting design in order to help us conceive much better spaces. The second project that I'm going to bring you, it's a school in Vila Viçosa, and this school is the pavilion type. This is a photography of the plot as it was, and when we start a project, the first thing that we do an architectural survey, we do a topographical survey, and obviously we do a visit to the plot. And when we did the visit, the first thing that came to our mind was identify all the pavilions, because we had to know which ones interested in keeping in and the ones who didn't, and all the trees that were inside of the plot. They were very big, very nice. They create awesome shadows. This is an interior village of Portugal, so it's very hot in the summer. It could take like 40 degrees, 45 degrees. It's really, really hot. So all the nature that we could keep in order to help the students to get fresh during the time class, it will be good. That's other of the pavilions. So the village, basically, it's this big, is very small, obviously, and it has a lot of green spaces because it is a rural area. So we were a lot preoccupied with like 3 or 4 trees, but the direction of the school were not. They said that they have a lot of green spaces, so we can demolish and do whatever we want. But we thought that was interesting in maintaining that species there. So these images show the 3 pavilions that we maintained and the new additions that we have. We thought about this approach because maintenance and management. So when you have dispersed pavilions, you need to have multiple teams, because you have it's more difficult to run all the students to know if they go to the classes or not, or if they are doing something that they are not supposed to do, or even control if they checked in the school or not. And also the keeping it clean and keeping it running smoothly, it was much more difficult like that. So this one, and this one were the ones that we kept, and these 3 pieces are the ones that we find that were interesting to add in order to create this unified L-shaped building. The entry is made through this point, so we have here an hallway. Basically, we have this area that creates this kind of joint between the 2 spaces and the new additions. This is the whole images of the whole ground floor of our project. Obviously, we planted more trees and more greens on the outside with the landscape arrangement. But the most important thing to show here is, beside the entry that was put in here with the reception, we have, this is the sports pavilion that we maintained, the one that was already, this one was maintained, that was already there. We expanded into a new sports pavilion, and then we put on some new fields for them to play, athletics, sports, everything they needed. And this is the new part in the new buildings. The important thing to show in here is that entry, because we have made a curved ceiling that has a 3-story height. So this basically helps to absorb the building horizontally and vertically with this triple ceiling. And this creates a new hallway that helps to dignify and create this kind of unity in all of the school. Once again, the brick was our chosen material for this project. We basically had in here 2 materials. We don't like to explore a lot of materials in one project, because we think that creates some more dispersion that helps to unify and consolidate all of the unity. In this case, we chose by the same motives that we chose on the other projects, due to its maintenance and durability. Like a lifespan of terracotta is huge, so it was our chosen material. This is the reception, where the kids can get in, and they can, since the beginning of the plot until they enter the school, they can go without catching any rain. This is the entry. So we have that joint that we created in order to join the 2 spaces, the 2 axes of the L-shaped building, and this is the curved ceiling with a triple height. This allows for any people, any store can see what's going on the hallway, and creates and dignifies this entry space. In here, I would like to show you how it was the previous pavilion, with this some sort of courtyards with a skylight. So this had a huge problem in terms of acoustic problems. So when you had all of the classrooms going out, this amplifies the sound because it was closed, and it was unbearable on the inside. Everyone could hear every sound. It was very bad. And also, to the vertical communications, it was not very clean and very easy for them to walk through all the spaces. What we thought was close the patio, open the skylight, and create new social areas. So that one on the right is directly connected to the bar and to the eating part of the school, and the one on the left is connected to the hallways of some classrooms. So the students can, during break, when it's hot during summer, they can go there, and it's absolutely fresh, and it's very good to be there. This is that joint that we resolved in this way. We created this opaque glass. We utilize it in order to push the light in, because since it was in an inside corner, it will be very dark, but it has a lot of corridors on the inside, so we need to have light coming in. The other material that we use is GRC. GRC, it's glass reinforcement concrete. That is a pre-modeled shaped material. In this particular case, we asked them to do this form, and it was pre-conceived in an industry, and then it was just taken here and assembled. So it was very fast to put. We utilize it for 2 different reasons. One of them is sun protection. So since they are inclined down, when the sun hits the facade where they are, they create automatically and permanently a shadow on the inside. So especially on the summer times, or 3/4 of the year, they have a huge sun there, so they needed these kind of protections. The second part was to provide unity in all of the school. For one side, you have the bricks that on some parts of the school they take on all of the building, then they keep only on the ground floor, and every part of the classrooms gets this GRC. This is an example of the incorporation that we have made with the trees that were local. This one was not planted by us. This was the existent ones that we tried to adjust our architecture around this nature. This image is, I would like to, well, I think it's a showcase of the unify that we did, because when you look at it, you almost don't understand, even if you see this L shape, you almost don't understand that it was previously three predecessor pavilions, and now you have one whole building. So that was one of the main ideas to utilize the GRC. This was the other tree that was kept there. It was very bright and very big, so it was important for us to get there, especially. And we adjust so much the architecture to it that on the ground level, right here, we have the library. So it was specifically put it there because the tree could create some sort of shadow for the library. So so that the sun doesn't evolves on the inside. You can see the entrance over there, and then the library on this side, protected by the tree. So the third section that I would like to present, it's museums. We've had a lot of and have a lot of experience in museums, and it's always interesting this type of projects because they are always different. We have made like 10 museums, and the 10 of them were all different because all of them are for different things. They have different heritage, they have different backgrounds. So it's always a good challenge. In this particular section, I will show you. This one is a museum of a city hall, okay, of a region. So it was to showcase the history of a region. On the second one that I will show you, it's a work museum from the industrial era. It has a lot of layers, a lot of history, but all on the industrial side, on the working side. This particular building was a noble house, was full of addictions, full of alterations. And what we did when we first approached it was to, after we did obviously the architectural survey, we tried to identify what was the best thing of this house and what didn't add anything to the initial state of it. It has a particular point that is this space on the right, which translates to here on the floor plan, that adds a chapel on the inside. The problem with the chapel, or the original part of the chapel, is that it had two levels, but they have closed it with a slab. So the first thing that we did was to remove that slab in order to open up again the nave of the antique church. The church is on this side. We had to open up because it was a sacred and a remarkable point. And the transformation that we did here for the adaptation of the museum, it was on the last floor, it was the documentation center. So everything that they had on that region, they have put it there in order for expose, well, whenever they needed to expose. This is the ground, the upper level, where they have all the administrative offices, the expositive parts, and obviously the bathrooms. Here is the upper part of the church. On the ground level, that is this one, you have two rooms that are with multiple purpose rooms. They could use it for anything they want. The part of the church. Then you have this hallway, and then this is the new expansion. And the new expansion amplifies the exposition place, and also creates some rooms for them to take the kids there and create new experiences, and kind of promote the kids from the region to go there and to understand what's the story of that space, how can they learn more about that, and try to gather them together. Here is just to show you how it was closed. Basically, it had a slab over here, and obviously we remove it to return it to the original state. On the expansion side, we had this basically this courtyard made in a structure of steel frame and glass. The important thing that we did in here, it was, since we had a noble house and then we had to demolish everything and create this new expansion, we want to have two constructible and two material worlds colliding. So on one side you had the masonry, you had the bricks, you have the painted walls, and the other side you had this metal and more industrial kind of construction, in order for them to dialogue together. This was this is the main nave of the church. And once again, we have called an artist friend to help us consolidate our idea and kind of integrate it into our project. Basically, what we projected was a screen with metal and wooden structure divided in 48 different panels. Basically, this was our first concept, and what we thought is that with the disappearance of the chancel, because it had, or originally it had, here it was the idol and the place on the back of the idol where the father used to go and to have all this stuff. With the disappearance of that, we thought that we could create this wood door that is a second entry from the original building to the expansional building and to the exposition part of the building, and some sort of create this symbolism of the destruction of the chancel. This is the details of the construction. Like I was saying, it was a metal with wooden frames, and it had some screen on each of the 48 panels that we make the design of the composition. We asked our painter friend what was the theme of that we wanted him to paint, and then he painted it. Basically, on the side facing the nave of the chapel, that is this one, the illustration represented the sacred. On the other side, facing the new expansion of the museum, the illustrations representing the profane. So we basically wanted to create this dichotomy inside of one wooden portal that represents the difference between the sacred and the profane. The second museum I bring you is that work museum, and it's basically a unique element in all Iberia Peninsula due to its importance on the industrial era. On the 30th century, the monks created the complex to support their activity. So they basically lived on a convent nearby, but they need to explore and to treat the cereal, because they need to build a grinding mill, so they could grind all the cereal that they caught on the lands nearby, and they created this entire complex. Basically, the complex is this one on the right, this one on the left, this one. It's the same, but it's divided in more or less 12 buildings. This was together and created in here because you have a river on both sides, and it will simplify. First one, to utilize the river and the current to create energy, because it allows to create to move the mill, and to automatically only with the force of the water running by, it would grind all the cereal. That's the first one. The second one was it allowed it to get the boats there to charge it with the cereal, and then export it to the other parts of the country, and even of the planet. This is actually the architectural survey that we did on the entire complex. Basically, we had all of this was in industrial. All of these parts, it has a lot of industrial backgrounds on there. This had a system of blockage of water, because it had 3 channels down here, and it had a system that blocked the passage of the water. This was an electric central, obviously done not by the monks, but it was evolved over time. This was the first building that was made by the monks, the first mill, but all of this complex on the right side, it's all for grinding cereal from 3 different timelines. The first one built by the monks is this one, that it was completely functioned by the water. It was the water that utilized it completely. Then they created a second one that initially was functionable through the water, and then they stopped that and they mechanicalized it. And then they created a third building, this one, that is full industrialized. That's a more recent one. The importance that we've seen in the architectural survey is that we had a lot of eras and a lot of industrial heritage background. So we need to understand very deeply what was inside that. And our intervention basically covered 3 aspects. One of them was the musealization of some of the activities that were developed there. So they were almost remain untouched, and we just clean a little bit, put some passages, obviously try to recover and restore everything that was damaged, but try to leave it as it was. The second part was the recovery of some of the other buildings, but adapt to a new functions like reception, documentation centers, administrative areas, exposition places, amongst others. Those were the buildings that didn't have anything particularly interesting on the inside, or that we could give them a new function. So they were renovated in order to give them a new function. And the third aspect was the outdoor space. The outdoor space was very important in order to create a new leisure zones and a new staying zones for the people that come to visit, because the overall idea was to showcase the importance of the entire complex and create this interpretative museum, so that the people that came here could understand how the industrial process was made on that building, and saw some expositions of the times that it was made. On that case, we had the outdoor spaces. It was this one and this one, where we also add 2 new buildings to create some closed outdoor spaces where people could gather. This is the ground level of our approach, where we have, here is the administrative building. This originally, although we already saw it covered, originally it was a river channel. So we opened it up, we took the roof out, and we left it open in order to kind of show how it was without the covers. This one we musealized, this one, because it was representative of an era, and it was in such a shape that we needed to leave it almost as it was. This one was taken through the reception and through the documentation part. So this is where the people enter to visit all the complex and all the museum. This one is still it's already done in project, but it's still on the images that I'm going to show you. It's still blank because the city hall hasn't done it yet. It's still on commission for the construction. This one was very important. I will explain it up front. This part is the electrical central that we renovated and musealized it. This one is the exposition and the documentation part that has two stores, two-story levels, and on the upper level it has also a research room for all the PhDs and all the people interested on this type of things. This is the outdoor space along with this building, and this is all of that grinding mills, ancient grinding mills, where we have musealized it, kept it as it was, except for this one that it was so little to have any function, so we leave it for multi-purpose rooms. This is the first building. Basically, it was like this. And then we transformed into these administrative areas. This is a bit of a showcase of industrial architecture, because we have faced multiple type of constructive systems, and we have to study a lot and historical too of the place and how the construction was made, because we try to maintain all of the possible structure. So we had to try to understand how could we intervene without destroying the ancient structure that was already there. This is the industrial part that we have musealized. Basically, the structure it's maintained there, but we needed to add some supports and some new structures. These previous photographs I showed is the plot. It's the building that it still remains undone. This is the project that we did. Basically, we have just covered this part that, because when we started to the excavation, we found a huge architectural heritage there. So archaeological, sorry. So we had to stop. We had to study it, and we discovered that it was the biggest mill of all Iberia. So we have to leave it like it was. It was cataloged. It was leave it like that. Nowadays, it's covered with sand in order to not create any damage until they make the building. But the project basically creates this corridor on the outside, on a zone that it's not with anything, because this was the antique channel. So it literally doesn't have anything there. But we create the like a metal structure in order to not penetrate the ground and to not damage anything on the floor and on the archaeological historical heritage. We just create that pass with the wall, with the glass. You can see for the inside, and you can see basically the mill as it was. And then you pass to the other building, continuing the exposition. Basically, we had these shades, these skylights, put it in this direction because it will create some indirect light on the inside, so it allow you to have a full perspective. Since you had light, you had a good perspective of all without any shades. This is the documentation building and the part of the expositions, like a multi-purpose room where you can do conferences, you can do expositions and everything that you need. This is the electric center. It was basically like this, so it was preserved under a very thin rooftop, and we managed to keep the structure, changed the rooftop, and created just some new supports, and obviously musified to everything. This was the first building, the one that was constructed by the monks, and when they had the water passing on the downside of the building, that could move all the grinders for the cereal. This is the second building, the one that initiate with the same technology, but soon after they turn it into a mechanical part. So here it's already changed for the mechanical, and we also turn it into a museum. This is the third building, and the largest one and the more recent one that is full industrialized and obviously full mechanic. This is the complex of the three grinding industrial buildings. And this is a view of all the complex, that is this one, including this. And here we can see the two outdoor spaces that we try to create. So this one, that is with this rooftop near the industrial chimney, and the other one on the left. Basically, we have done the same thing for both of them. We took some wood material, we covered them up, and it created a huge outdoor spaces, when actually there was already some conferences there, some lectures there, some teachers also brought their kids there. They had a full experience of all the complex, and then they stood there to get some lectures. This is the second public space that's on the other side, and it allows, basically we have created these 2 points because it allows you to have from one and from the other the view, the total view for all the complex. In one of them you are on the right and you see the grinding buildings, and in this one you see all the entire complex, and obviously with the river on front, which is this one. Okay, the last section that I bring, and I will try to speed up a little bit, I'm sorry. The last section that I bring, it's a heritage section. In Portugal, we have a lot of heritage buildings, a lot of ancient buildings there. In this particular case, the first one I'm going to show is the rehabilitation of a castle that we were commissioned with, and on the second part, the renovation of a convent. So in this particular project, it's the renovation of 2 parts of the castle. So the main core of the castle itself, this is all of the structure of the ancient wall that it's here. This is the core of the castle, which we intervene, and this is something that is called a barbican. A barbican is like a second wall that it doesn't serve for anything besides security measures. So a castle was to protect the village, and it was on a higher ground in order to see all the invaders. And you had this second line of walls that when you are between those 2 walls, it's called a barbican. So in this particular case, as you can see, the castle is on the upper side of the village. Basically, the castle was the first thing to appear, and then all the village developed on the outside. What's different between some cultures is that when you have Arabic castles, you have all of the city that is inside of the castle. These type of castles, they are defensive castles, so they have this core that we intervened, but they didn't have any houses inside of the walls. All of the houses were built outside of the walls. So this is the two projects that we had, the castle and the Barbican. One of the main problems that we came across with the castle is that they somewhere along the way they have built this street that destroyed the original wall and created a rupture between the Tower of Menace, the tower where you can see everything, and the inside of the core of the castle. So we tried to resume the original matter and gather a form of unify the tower with the core of the castle. Basically, you can see it here. So it was connected here. It had two walls, and then demolish it to create this street. So we tried to unify it again. This is the core of the castle. Once again, we started the archaeological and architecture surveys, and all of the heritage pop up. So we thought about doing a wooden structure. So since it has a lot of archaeological history and background there, what we tried to do with the choosing of the wood was basically two things. First one is to guarantee the first rule of any intervention in the heritage, which is the reversibility. So you can get there, you can pick up everything that you've done, you can take it out, and you leave everything intact as if you have never touched it. The second part is, since wood is a natural element, it will oxidate over time and will turn gray. So when it turns gray, it will kind of unifies itself with the wall, with the stone walls. So the idea was, when someone would look at the castle like 50 years ago, 50 years from now, 100 years from now, whatever it was, it will all be gray. So it would not be seen as a new addition, but as a natural element that could always been there. This is the ground floor that we had. Basically, the idea is the castle was always meant not only for security measures, but also to gather people. When you had some attack on your village, everyone would gather on the castle. So we tried to bring the people again to the castle and to promote it as a public equipment like it has. So we created an interpretative center there, so that the people, the youngs and everyone, could go there and see how the historical landmark it was for them. The ground level, it has that part. The underground level, it has that part. The ground level, it has the cafeteria, and also has this huge zone that could be used for expositions, for concerts, for some social activities. This is the new passage that we have done to connect the tower with the core of the castle. Once again, we have worked with our lighting team, with our lighting designers, in order to create some new perspectives of the place. So the light helps to amplify and to aid the people that goes there to comprehend, by creating different layers of explosions through the colors and the grading of the lights. This is that outdoor zone for the concerts. Now we entered the Barbican. Basically, the Barbican had already been intervened, and some of the walls, like this one, were very recent, so they were not original. What we've done is they build it for security measures because it's a short space. So we have demolished them in order to keep only the antique wall. This was the state as we found it. Basically, we have kept all the vegetal structure that is here. All of the trees, we left them as they were, and we created two doors, one on each side. This is on one of the side. All of these stones are local stones, so they have these huge floor like Bangalore, this huge floor where you excavate a little bit and you have massive granite there. So we utilize it on our project. Then again, our lightning designers. These trees, they were on the different levels because it was a very shaped hill. So we created these different plateaus to put them exactly according to what level was the tree. On the other side, we called another friend of ours, an architect, a sculptor, the one who made the sculpture on that first single house that we did. And basically, the idea was to create a public landmark. So we could create any kind of port, of wall, of door, anything that we wanted. But basically, we wanted to create a landmark and to create like public art. In this case, we designed and we sketched this, and he turned it into reality. This is basically a metal door that has these shaped stones engraved in it. The last project that I have is the rehabilitation of the convent. Basically, we already had some experience here renovating a lot of religious elements. This one was founded in the 13th century. It had undergone a lot of changes throughout the time. The degradation was huge, and it was very scarce what remained from the original times. Basically, it's over here near a quarter. This is a fun fact is that this is in exact same town as the castle. So it's a village outside of like in some sort of rural area of Portugal, interior area. The entry was on that side, and this is how it looked when we get there. So a lot of historical elements were already damaged with cement on top, and with a lot of stuff. It didn't matter. For example, on this particular case, we had some decorative coverings, fake plasters and sgraffito done on these parts. So we had to study exactly how it was, exactly how they have ruined it, and how we could recover them in order to bring them back to their original state. Again, some plaster and mortar with the frescoes. We had some mural painting, some niches with flooding, some tiles. So we had a lot of things. In this case, it has an altar in plaster and a marble tomb. This was the outdoor. So it was completely closed to the community. And once again, when we started to do all of the architectural and archaeological surveys, we came across with this element that is an ancient wall, and some other ancient walls. Even dead people were there, like skulls. And basically, we had to dig everything up, catalogize everything, and put it in our project. In this particular case, for instance, we had like this wall that it was in a very good shape with ancient inscriptions in it, so we couldn't demolish it. We had to integrate it in our project. This is the main part of the chapel that we have renovated, and this is an expansion that has like an interpretative center in an exposition for the religious art. On the ground level, it's the expansion of that. This is the new facade that we put up for the street in order to open up for the expansion part. This is some images of how we renovated the space. This project was very hard to do because it had a lot of elements from gold tiles, from basic tiles, from wood, from basically everything marbles, stones, a lot of things that were here. We have to gather a very complex team in order to achieve this final restoration. This is the new facade that we have made for the expansion part in order to open it up to the community, so that all of the religious art could be shown. This is how we managed to overcome the fact that we had these heritage walls in here. So we have closed with a new wall, but expressively new. So and we'll have the older ones intact. This some game of lights for the expansion, and the work of our lighting designers. Thank you very much for your patience, and I'm sorry for the time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Miguel. Any questions? Can we please have architect Candido Gomes on the stage, please? Yeah, would you like to say a few words? He said it all. Okay.
All the people are exhausted.
Not true. It's okay. So, may we request Naveen of Ascent Lifts and Escalators to please come on stage? Request architect Jaisim to please come on stage and felicitate our speakers.